Next guest still remains bullish on some consumer names across the Asia Pac at least, and you want to listen to him because boy oh boy has he been an outperformer. Teng Boo helps to manage about $300 million at Capital Dynamics Asset Management, and as of December, his iCapital Global Fund is up almost 30% since inception, beating its MSCI Asia Pac benchmarks. And Teng Boo, I welcome you to the program. You're joining us from Singapore this morning. Let me just ask you first off, I have to talk to you, of course, about this recent correction and sell-off in the global markets. But what do you think of it? Was this, a long time coming since markets do need to cool off a bit?
Yes, you're right. The correct phrase is due to cool off a bit. We see it as a overdue correction, and I think the rally will resume probably by the second quarter or maybe towards the early part of the third quarter.
Now, Teng Boo, before then, I spoke to a strategist this morning who says that the correction might be as big as 10 to 12% in this current sell-off. What do you think of those numbers? Seem accurate to you?
Yeah, I mean, those type of numbers, you can put any figures to them, really. But I think more importantly is to see what the multiple-year trend is. And in that instance, I think the rally that we saw from March 09 up to, say, November, December 09 is probably the first phase. If you look back with hindsight a few years down the road, that would be the first phase. And I think as 2010 unfold, the economic recovery that we've seen in almost every country in the world, except probably a few isolated countries, is sustainable. It's on a sustainable path. And by the end of 2010, markets generally speaking, would be higher than where they are now.
So, Teng Boo, you expect, I guess, these gains to continue in the third quarter at some point. So what are you going to do? Use these dips as buying opportunities?
Oh, yeah, certainly. I think the rally from March 09 to November, December 09, by any measure, has been very strong. That, I think, has discounted to a large extent the recovery that we've seen in most economies. So I think what investors have done is to take some money away from the table because they're not sure whether the growth will be sustainable. And when they find that the growth is really sustainable, the money is going to come back. So I think the rally, the bull market that we've seen from March 09 is still very much intact.
Okay, so Teng Boo, what about these consumer names? Because we started off this segment talking about how well they performed in 2009. With these dips, are you going in to buy any particular consumer names?
Susan, I am biased towards longer-term investing, unfortunately or fortunately. If you look at just a single year, you're not going to get the right perspective. Because if you look at the economic boom in China, say over the last 30 years, it has been very much investment-driven. But the next phase, you have yet to see the real economic boom, and that is going to be consumption-driven in China, and that's going to last, 5, 10, 15 years. And that boom is going to be, the impact of that boom is going to be even far larger than the investment boom that we saw in the last 30 years. So I think don't be so myopic and focus on just a single year, because what you're seeing in China, what you're seeing in India, and what you're seeing in the rest of the world is a very major structural transformation. And that is something, in the case of China, they've reached a level where consumer spending is about to take off.